Alright, I think we're recording. Okay, let's go. Alright, welcome back to another episode of my Wednesday weekly sort of wrap up that I do. It's officially week 6. Last week was rather interesting. Not as much as I would have liked to have done, but as the title says, it was a week of setbacks, clawbacks, and some sort of clarity and win at the end. Now, there were a few setbacks this week, so there were 3 main things that happened in terms of setbacks. One was there was a bit of a family argument, one was marriage related, the other one was work related. So let's break it down one by one. One of the family setbacks was essentially because there's a lot of people in the house at the moment, and we're all living together, and especially when you have a lot of people living in we've got a pretty big size home, but obviously when you've gone from living independently to then combining the family unit again, there is a transition period, and we finally hit that point where we went, okay, this is where the boundaries are. This is where the hard line is. This is where we need to set the boundaries so that we all have our space and our respect, so that we know what we're doing and we can live together harmoniously rather than infighting and more family drama. But unfortunately, family drama can play a big part in a lot of people's life. And just like you, I'm not immune to it. But then subsequently, the family drama led to an argument between me and my wife. And it actually brought me to a big moment of clarity, which I'll cover later in this video. But there was an argument that led. And as you do when emotions are high, people would tend to argue. But this one probably had our first big fight after a long time. And we've been together 10 years. So it's not like it was gonna, completely destroy us. But it felt like it at the time. And to be honest, it was more situational and some other habits that I had built up over the years that I actually needed to look into, and that's the clarity part that I'm always going to talk about. Now, aside from that, the other setback that I had was, in terms of work, was prospecting. So when I was making the calls or doing the door knocks or meeting with people, it was unpurposeful. When you go and approach somebody on a cold call or a door knock or anything like that, and you have no reason for it, you're going to find it very difficult to have the conversation with someone. Just going up and saying, hey, my name's Arahan, is there anything I can help you with real estate, is not really a great opening line. There's no motive aside from, hey, do you want to sell your house? And people can tell that. Nobody wants a real estate guy who's going to go, hey, do you want to sell your house? Come pick with me, come pick with me. This is where my industry also gets to get a bad rep, because a lot of people are focused only on the money. Don't get me wrong, I do like to earn a living, and I would like to earn a living, but that's not the sole focus of why I do what I do. I enjoy my work because I genuinely have a passion for real estate. I love the numbers, I love looking at the market trends, I like finding out why people think the way they do. It's more about the human psychology involved in the actual process than anything else. I'm a big numbers guy. I definitely like my statistics. I pay close attention to different trends that are occurring in the populace on a macro and micro scale, because I believe that definitely helps me make a much more informed decision when recommending a particular strategy or a particular method to help sell their home, or to help somebody buy a home, to help with rentals, or to help anything, commercial, leasing, any of that sort of stuff. I like to have a broad variety of things that I do rather than just focus on one aspect. But my primary area is residential sale. That's what I've excelled at. That's what I've done the most of. That's where I've had the most experience, I would say. So those are some of the setbacks that I had. One was a family setback, one was a marriage setback, one was a work setback. Now let's talk about the clawback. So the clawback was essentially having that communication line open. So I'm a firm believer, as I've gotten older, I don't know if it's me turning 30 or me maturing finally, I just don't feel like I have the time for arguments or petty squabbles anymore. If there's a disagreement, I'd rather just talk it out and figure out why we're having a disagreement, and if it's something that can be resolved. Now, if it's obviously somebody outside, if I'm, there's a road rage issue, I just don't care anymore. I just if somebody wants to go past me, let them go past. I don't care anymore. There's no ego involved in those sort of things. But if there's an issue within my family sphere, I do need to resolve it, and I'll keep working on it until we do come to a resolution. What we used to do in the past, because this is culturally what we used to do, was we'd ignore it, sweep it under the rug, and then pretend everything is fine, and eventually we'd just forget it and move on. But that was a very toxic way to deal with things, at least in my opinion. It never actually addressed the underlying issues, and things build up. We're people at the end of the day. We hold resentments and grudges unless you learn to forgive. Now, over the years, I've learned to become a much more forgiving person, because I'm at that stage in my life where I can forgive people, because I realized that holding on to grudges was only bringing me down and not anybody else. It was causing me more harm than anything else. Now, have we come to a mutual conclusion? Not yet, but we have addressed the main concerns. And now we're trying to find a way that suits all of us, because there's not just one person winning, it needs to be a win for everyone. When it comes to these sort of situations, it's not a win-lose. If one person wins, everybody loses. It's either a win-win or a lose-lose. There's no other way. That's, at least in my opinion, that's my approach to things. Aside from that, in terms of the marriage setbacks, the clawback that I had on that would have been, I actually came to let me talk about the clarity that I had. So it highlighted a lot of issues and a lot of things that behavioral traits that I displayed for a long time, because that's how I survived and pushed out and continued moving forward every day. Because my defense mechanism in the past had always been to go on the offensive and, defend my point of view, because I used to believe that I know best. But what that used to do was close off any doors to communication. It is paramount for any relationship, whether it's a business, personal, or anything like that. Communication is key. So in order for you to communicate, you need to listen effectively. And for the longest time, I used to tell my wife, and we used to argue that, why don't you just tell me what's wrong? Just tell me what's wrong. What do you want? What do you want? But I never actually used to listen, because the funny thing is, she used to say it, but it was coming in a way that I wasn't listening or comprehending it. She wasn't saying it in a way that I understood, or I wasn't listening in the way that she communicated. The way we communicated was different. And maybe it's the personal growth journey that I'm on, which has helped me reflect a lot more on how I do things. But it's certainly helped in the fact that this is probably the first time in 10 years that I feel like after an argument, I wasn't actually angry. I wasn't upset. I wasn't hurt or took anything personally. I just wanted to know what was wrong and how I can help fix it. Listening in to what she was actually saying made a big difference. It made a huge difference, and I actually feel like after that and the resolution that we've had since then has really helped. I had to put my ego aside, and I had to understand that what she was saying wasn't an attack on me, but a reflection of how she was feeling. Why she was feeling that way was important to understand, because at the end of the day, if I love her, I do love my wife, and I wanted to be happy. So if she wasn't happy, I had to find out why. And if it was some of my behaviors, can I do something to change it? Absolutely you can. I'm always a firm, I always keep preaching that, you can change who you are. So just because it's uncomfortable, you have to start recognizing what your shortfalls are. If the people around you who are close to you are telling you it is a shortfall for you, listen. Because it might actually help you. Do some of those behaviors help me in the business world? Absolutely. Arrogance and all those sort of things. You need to have a bit of arrogance, you need to have a bit of grit, you need to have confidence too. But not with the people who are closest to you. So that's the sort of approach. Again, look, we've come to a resolution between me and her, and we've actually probably in the best place we've been in years. I feel like I can actually support her better, because now I understand what she wants for the first time in a long time, which is really good. Because after 10 years, you do tend to feel disconnected sometimes, and not everything is perfect. You go through rough patches, but we're in a place where it's good. We're working towards the same goals again. It's good. I'm feeling good about that. So that was a bit of the clawback and the clarity. Now, in terms of work, since I've come to that clarity and that realization of how I can approach this, it's not just about going out there and talking to people about real estate. It's about seeing what I can genuinely do to help them, and if they need it. Otherwise, I just want to meet more people, continue having those conversations, and look, if it's not going to bring me money in the meantime, I'll go get a second job which will feed me on a day-to-day basis, so I can keep pursuing this dream and this goal. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. As much as I love the traditional ways of cold calling and door knocking and all those sort of things, I know it will pay off eventually, but in the meantime I do have to feed my family, so I'll get a second job to provide. Now, aside from that, real estate is 100% my focus and always will be. I love this industry. I genuinely love what I do for a job, and I really feel like it makes a difference, and it helps the people that I'm looking after, because when I'm invested in my job and I'm invested in the people that I work with, I feel like it's going to deliver better results for all parties involved. Now, forgive my voice, I've got a blocked ear and an ear infection, my throat's killing me, but it's not going to stop me from doing what I need to do. I'm just going to keep going and keep pursuing what the goal for next week. So the goals for next week is to continue doing more of the basics. Now, while my video production, I'm feeling like I'm nailing I'm dialing in, I actually know which direction I'm heading with the video production and all that content is. While that's great, it's not the only thing I need to be doing. So now that I know which direction I'm going with the socials, I need to be more focused on the basics as well and build that foundation so that I do have a solid foundation to keep going from. Have I made cold calls? Absolutely. Have I done door knocks? Not as many as I'd like to. So goal is to keep doing more. Now, I'd set myself some pretty tremendous targets, which I have not been able to meet because, like I said, there were setbacks and things like that, which I believe require more focus. So my family, my kids, my wife, my parents, they needed more of my time last week, and that's okay, because business is not, there's no point in me doing what I do if I can't be there for the people that I love. So that's the purpose of what I do, everything. It's so I can be able to do more for my family and my friends and the people around me. So that's one of the other reasons I'm documenting this journey, so that maybe in 10 years time I'll look back on this and go, yeah, that week I didn't do much business, and that's okay. While I do feel shitty, I'm not going to keep being toxic to myself and keep telling myself that it's not good enough that you're not doing this. I have that own rhetoric in my head, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I know what I need to do, and I'm just going to keep going, because it's about consistency and longevity. I'd rather be a permanent 8 than a 10 and a 2. This actually I got from Josh Teslin, who's in Ray White, great agent, Australia's #1 agent. What he was saying was, if you're always chasing the 10s, some days you're going to burn out and you're going to end up being a 2, or you're going to be a 5 or a 7, and then you're going to keep fluctuating. Don't fluctuate, be stable. It's about stability and being able to present the same level of energy and the same level of drive on a consistent basis. So figure out what that baseline is and keep working to increase the baseline rather than going for the peaks and the troughs. It needs to be consistency over a long period of time. So that's the focus for next week, is just being more consistent with what I'm doing and keep doing what I'm doing currently and just keep building on what I've got currently. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this video series. If you are, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. If you want to DM me, you don't want to leave a comment on YouTube, you want to DM me on Instagram. I'm the Real Estate Nut on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. Message me wherever you want. My numbers are all, you want to text me, you can text me. You want to call me, you can call me. But that's all I have for you guys this week. And hopefully you're enjoying this, and I'm enjoying this. Is actually like therapy for me. So I'll see you on Friday for the Friday show. Bye for now.